Alright, grab a flashlight and a cozy blanket, because I'm about to spin you a tale that'll send shivers down your spine. So there we were, me and my partner in crime, embarking on what was supposed to be the ultimate road trip. You know, the kind where you imagine picturesque landscapes and epic playlists. Little did we know, this trip was about to take a detour into the Twilight Zone. The sun was waving goodbye, leaving us navigating through an increasingly ominous forest road. Google Maps, in its infinite wisdom, decided this shortcut was the key to speeding up our journey. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. The trees started closing in like they had secrets to tell, and the road became more of a gravelly nightmare than the scenic route we envisioned. And then the car, our trusty steed on this adventure, decided it had had enough. The engine coughed, sputtered, and gave us the metaphorical finger as it decided to quit. Right there, in the middle of nowhere. As the daylight made a swift exit, we found ourselves with a broken-down car, a forest that seemed to stretch on forever, and a growing sense of, oh, we're in trouble. Now, breaking down during the day is inconvenient. Breaking down when the only source of light is the moon and a flashlight you found buried in the glove compartment is a different kind of adventure. We attempted to diagnose the car trouble, lifting the hood like we had a clue what we were doing. Spoiler alert, we didn't. As our dreams of a carefree road trip crumbled, we did what any self-respecting duo would do. We decided to hike it. With backpacks slung over our shoulders, we left the car behind like a bad memory and stepped onto the eerie forest road. The gravel crunched beneath our shoes, echoing in the unsettling silence of the night. The forest had this way of swallowing sound, making every step feel like an intrusion into nature's secret realm. And then, as if the trees themselves were gossiping about our misfortune, we heard it, the faintest whispers. At first, we brushed it off, blaming it on the wind playing tricks on our ears. But the whispers persisted, like a clandestine conversation just beyond our understanding. We exchanged worried glances, the kind that says, "Did you hear that too, or have I officially lost it?" Spoiler alert, my buddy heard it too. Now, I'm not saying we were walking through the set of a horror movie, but the forest had this way of casting shadows that seemed a little too alive. The moonlight danced through the leaves, creating patterns that played tricks on our eyes. We followed the whispers like detectives on a case, every step feeling like we were entering the plot of a supernatural thriller. As we delved deeper into the woods, the whispers morphed into something more distinct. It was like the forest itself was trying to communicate, sentences forming in the rustling leaves and creaking branches. My skeptic brain was doing somersaults, desperately trying to cling to rational explanations. Then, just when we were about to declare our forest adventure a case of auditory hallucinations, the whispers stopped. The sudden silence felt deafening, and we stood there, surrounded by trees that seemed to be holding their breath. The moonlight, which was a comforting presence until now, felt more like a spotlight casting us as unwilling actors in a surreal drama. And then, in the distance, we saw it, a flickering light, a beacon of hope in this bizarre night. We followed it like moths to a flame, stumbling upon a cabin. A cabin that, according to Google Maps, didn't exist. It stood there, a relic from the past covered in cobwebs and dust. We debated whether entering the cabin was a good idea or the opening scene of our horror movie demise. Spoiler alert, we entered. The door creaked open like it was reluctantly welcoming us, and we found ourselves in a time capsule of neglect. Dusty furniture, cobwebs that could compete in a Halloween decoration contest, and that unmistakable musty smell. The night passed with an uneasy calm. Every creak and thud became a potential threat, and sleep was more of a survival strategy than a restful endeavor. Dawn broke, and we gathered our backpacks, leaving the creepy cabin behind like a chapter in a forgotten nightmare. As we stumbled back to the road, the whispers were gone, replaced by the sounds of a waking forest. We found a signal on our phones and called for a tow truck. The forest road, once a nightmare, now felt like a strange dream we were waking up from. The broken-down car was towed away, and we vowed to stick to well-lit, heavily populated roads for the rest of our lives. And so the road trip continued, a little shaken, but with stories that would become legendary in our friend circle. If anyone ever suggests a shortcut through a forest road at night, my advice is to laugh in their face and stick to the highways. Picture this. I'm all strapped in, ready for my Moroccan escapade, flying high in a metal bird with wings. The hum of the engines and the distant chatter of fellow travelers set the scene for what was supposed to be a routine flight, filled with the usual mix of anticipation and travel-induced anxiety. Now settling into a window seat, I gaze out at the clouds and landscapes below, the sky turning into a canvas of adventure. As the plane ascends further, leaving the ground and everyday worries behind, I immerse myself in the in-flight experience. The captain's occasional updates become a lullaby of sorts, the rhythmic background noise that accompanies the journey. With an in-flight movie playing, I resign myself to the confined space, finding solace in the entertainment and the thought of soon touching down in Morocco, a land of vibrant markets, winding alleys, and exotic spices. The skies, usually a haven of peace, decide to play an unexpected trick on me. There I am, engrossed in whatever movie was on offer, when the inexplicable happens, a gentle poke on my shoulders. Now, this isn't your run-of-the-mill poke. It's the kind that makes you turn around expecting a familiar face, perhaps a friend playing an in-flight prank. However, my swivel reveals rows behind me, devoid of any mischievous culprits. The plane is packed, yet the space behind me seems as vacant as a ghost town. Shrugging off the oddity, I chalk it up to some turbulence, or maybe a fellow passenger stretching a tad too enthusiastically. But oh boy, the universe is just getting started with its in-flight shenanigans. As I sink back into my seat, it happens again. A subtle yet undeniable poke on the shoulders. This time, there's no turning away without contemplating the possibility that I've stumbled upon a scenario more suited for a supernatural thriller than a flight to Morocco. The in-flight movie becomes a mere distraction as the poking persists intermittently. Now, I'm not one to easily jump on the paranormal bandwagon, but the shoulders have become ground zero for some unexplainable phenomenon. I look around, desperately seeking a rational explanation, but all I find are fellow passengers engrossed in their own in-flight bubble, oblivious to the otherworldly shoulder tap dance happening a few rows ahead. In an attempt to catch the unseen shoulder poker, I play detective. I shift strategically in my seat, hoping to catch any suspicious movements in my peripheral vision. Alas, the poking continues, defying logic and explanation. The rational part of my brain is doing gymnastics, attempting to dismiss the absurdity of the situation, but the persistent prods render me in a state of bewildered paranoia. Alright, let's dive deeper into the twilight zone of this shoulder-poking saga. As the flight rolls on, the poking sensation becomes this persistent rhythm, almost like a drumbeat in the soundtrack of my airborne adventure. It's not just a random jab here and there. It's as if some unseen conductor is orchestrating a bizarre symphony of shoulder taps. With every mysterious jab, a chill takes a leisurely stroll down my spine, setting up a cozy residence in the depths of my nerves. It's not the kind of chill you get from a spooky movie. It's the real deal, a physical reminder that something out of the ordinary is happening in the midst of this seemingly routine flight. I'm no longer just a passenger. I'm an unwitting participant in an inexplicable phenomenon. Caught in this surreal dance between what I know to be real and what defies explanation, I'm in a constant struggle. Do I go with the classic strategy of ignoring the bizarre and pretending it's just another quirk of air travel? Or do I, against all logic and reason, turn around and confront the invisible poker that's turning my flight into a paranormal playground? The contemplation of turning around becomes a mental gymnastics routine. On one hand, curiosity is waving its flag, urging me to unravel the mystery, to put an end to this spectral charade. It's the classic, I must know what's going on feeling. On the other hand, caution, that primal instinct that tells you to steer clear of the unknown, is throwing up all kinds of red flags. Eventually, as if the ghostly passenger got bored or reached their destination, the poking subsides, the plane descends, and I disembark, my shoulders free from any spectral prodding. Stepping into the Moroccan sunshine, the bizarre in-flight experience quickly transforms into a hazy memory. The vibrant markets and the aromatic spices become the focal point, and the ghostly whispers of the plane are replaced by the lively sounds of a foreign land. Navigating the winding alleys of a Moroccan souk, I chuckle at the absurdity of it all. Maybe it was a glitch in the matrix, a momentary blip in the reality of air travel. Or perhaps airplanes are the new haunted houses of the sky, offering unexpected encounters in the vast expanse above. Alright, gather round, because I'm about to drop a spooky tale that happened on my Caribbean escapade. Picture this: crystal clear waters, swaying palm trees, and a boat ride that's supposed to be the epitome of chill vibes. Little did I know, the Caribbean had a few surprises in store for me. So here I am, cruising on this boat to paradise. The sun's doing its golden thing, and the sea's playing its rhythmic tune. Life's good, right? Well, it wasn't until I hit the sack in my cabin. That's when things took a turn from tropical bliss to a full-blown Caribbean ghost story. First night, all seemed normal. I crashed in my bunk, the gentle rocking of the boat putting me in a cozy slumber. But then, out of nowhere, shadows started playing tag in my room. At first, I figured it was just my mind messing with me, the kind of tricks it pulls when you're in a new place. Brushed it off, blamed it on the sea breeze whispering through the boat. Next night, though, the shadows were back. I'm talking shapes dancing on the walls, like the Caribbean moonlight had a mischievous side. Now, I'm not one to freak out easily, but this was starting to mess with my island zen. I shook my head, thinking it's just the boat's way of saying, "Welcome to the Caribbean, where even shadows party." As the day sailed by, so did my nerves. The shadows turned from playful to downright eerie. I'm talking about seeing figures, vague outlines that made me question my sanity. At this point, I'm doing the classic double take, rubbing my eyes, thinking, turning into a character in a Caribbean horror flick. So there I was in my cozy cabin, feeling like I'm on a one-person quest to unravel the mysteries of the Caribbean shadows. One fateful night, armed with the courage of 1,000 sunsets, or maybe just fueled by sheer foolishness, I decided to confront the darkness head-on. I thought, what could go wrong if I leave a tiny nightlight on? Spoiler alert, everything could go wrong. The nightlight, this feeble beacon of reassurance, stood no chance against the shadows that seemed to have a mischievous alliance with the Caribbean night. If anything, it transformed my cabin into a surreal theater of light and darkness, like the Caribbean itself had become my personal twilight zone. The room, bathed in the gentle glow of the nightlight, took on an otherworldly aura. It was no longer just a cabin on a boat. It was a stage where shadows pirouetted and waltzed in a bizarre dance of their own making. The boundaries between the tangible and the spectral blurred, and I found myself in the front row of a shadowy performance that my rational brain struggled to comprehend. You know that feeling when you're being watched? Multiply that by 10, add a sprinkle of Caribbean mystery, and you're in my shoes. It's like the shadows had a personality, a silent audience observing my every move. I half expected them to start applauding or, whispering pirate secrets from the Caribbean seafaring past. Now, before you think I was on some haunted pirate ship, let me tell you, the boat was as modern as it gets. But Caribbean vibes, my friend, they're a whole different breed. It's like the spirits of the sea decided to welcome me with a shadowy fiesta. As the journey continued, I found myself in a weird routine. Days were all about sun, sea, and pretending the shadows didn't exist. Nights were a different story. I'd lie in my bunk, eyes darting from one shadowy corner to another, wondering if I stumbled upon some mystical Caribbean twilight zone. The crew, bless their Caribbean souls, were oblivious to my spectral drama. To them, it was just another cruise, another group of sunseekers enjoying the Caribbean magic. Little did they know, their boat had a first-class ticket to the spooky town, and I was the unwitting passenger. By the time we docked on some Caribbean paradise, I was half relieved and half convinced I had a ticket to the nut house waiting for me. The shadows, though, they decided to wave me off like mischievous specters bidding farewell. As I stepped onto solid Caribbean ground, I couldn't help but glance back at the boat. It sat there, innocent in the daylight, like it didn't harbor a legion of shadows in its cabins. It was a Caribbean dream turned slightly nightmarish. Thanks for listening in. If you like what you hear, then please like and subscribe and support this new channel. Until next time.